Okay. Let's see. Funny D&D story. All right. So, what do you want to hear? You want to hear the one about my murderous Reddleman that I played? That I had a murderous rogue that was a lawful evil, and he ran with a paladin that my friend was playing. And normally you'd be like, "There's just no way." And you're right. There's no way. Like normally over a prolonged adventure, there's just no way this would work. So go full screen for this. So over a prolonged adventure, there's just no way that like a lawful evil person's going to be able to stick with a paladin, especially if my guy's just a murderer. Like his code of conduct was he liked things that were beautiful. Like he was very much like a Vega character from Street Fighter. Like if something was ugly, he wanted to kill it. So he would like go around town and like scope out, and he would basically like stalk people that he was attracted to, and he would like make note of people that were ugly and kind of plan to take revenge on them at a later time. Well, the thing was, is my guy he was very much the type of bluff diplomancer type of rogue. Like he had a ton of charisma on him. This was when we were rolling stats too. Another reason why I never roll stats anymore. I had absurd stats on this guy through rolls. Uh, so he has this really high charisma check. And just because of the way I acted when we were actually adventuring, you know, the people in the party, like the players, they knew that my guy was a rogue. You know, they knew it, and they knew I was lawful evil and a murderer. But in character, I did it in such a way that they never saw me murder anybody. I also did it in such a way that they never knew that I was even a rogue. How might you do that, might you ask? Well, there are certain things that like a rogue does, or that somebody that might be more talented in roguely things, you know, would do, like pick locks, you know, climb walls and stuff. Like I didn't do any of those. He could. He could do them very, very well. He just didn't do that in front of anybody. Didn't pick locks, didn't disarm traps, didn't climb things. And so like you just had this guy who is like fighting with these people and kind of helping them along in this dungeon. And just on the off time, when they were off trying to get some information on something, I would look for information as well and basically kill people. So where does the funny part of this come? Well, basically at one point, there are two things. One of them's kind of a morbid sense of humor, but I thought it was kind of a funny story, and my friends got a laugh out of it. So my guy went out into the farmlands one time, and he ends up like killing this family. But their kid survives. But the kid never sees me. So my guy actually leaves, goes over to the barn, changes his clothes, goes to the house, and just like puts the most ridiculous bluff check on this kid, and he's just like, "Oh my god, who did this to your family? Oh, we gotta go get to the town guards." So I basically saved this kid in the town's guards' eyes from me, you know, the original murderer, and I blame it. I basically roll another bluff, and I blame it on these guys that had given me shit at an earlier time inside of the town, like they tried to rough me up. So my guy committed murder. He fraudulently saved this boy, and and he framed like these three other guys in town to where they got hung as a result of the actions.
That's fucking ridiculous.
Another thing that happened is this one town that we went to actually got overrun and was basically deserted. Like we could tell that the people there were dead. So everybody's empty in this town. And so they were like, "Okay, we need to get into this house, but it's locked." And you know, in character, they're like, "You know, it would be really nice if someone knew how to pick a lock. Like, can you pick a lock?" "No, I don't know how to do that." "Can you pick?" "No, I don't know how to do that." Well, so they ask me, and they're like, "I don't know. Can you pick a lock?" And the guy goes, "I think I can work this out." So I grab my hammer and I just start bashing the lock until it falls off. Still don't know I'm a rogue. And I mean, that's an easy way to get rid of a lock too, if you're wondering. If you're My DM let me do that. Had he not let me do that, I would have just taken my chisel out and just chiseled around the wooden door and basically knocked the lock out that way. But if you don't need to be stealthy about something, you don't necessarily need to give away information. It's actually another really nice ability you can do in Pathfinder, for example. If you have an adamantine weapon, particularly a dagger, because they ignore so much DR, you could actually use it as like an adventurer's lockpick, is the term that I saw. So basically, you like hit the door until it breaks open, or you hit the chest until it breaks open. Little tips, get things done. That was one of my characters that I made, like, and he's one of the specific reasons why I don't roll stats anymore. My guy had absurd stats. Like, there's just, he could do way too many things. And that's just not a reasonable thing for somebody to have. With Point Buy, everybody kind of has the same amount of ability to do things. They have, their strength of character is going to be just as strong as yours is. Which is always very, it makes you feel good about something. Like, you don't look at the other guy next to you and go, I got all 10s and 12s. And this guy got like a 15, a 16, two 18s. Oh wow, he got 112. It leads to issues between the party.
Never split up the party.
Yeah, I split up the party a ton there. To commit murder.
You never split the party up, man. That's how people die.
You know, and I wasn't even trying to be like a super sneaky guy about it. Like, ooh, so edgy, I know everything. It's just, you know, I had a certain thought in mind for a character. And the DM actually played along with that too. Like, he was saying like, yeah, you start to get these dreams of like this malevolent figure who like says like, I can give you power or whatever. And then he starts to give me dreams about me like watching over like burning orc villages as they're all like smoldering and like their flesh is falling off and stuff. And he's like, oh, a person comes up to you in armor and he goes, we've routed the enemy, Commander. What shall we do with any survivors we find? And he says, and your guy looks to him and says, you know, you're quite ugly. And then stabs him in the face, you know. So like my guy was just, like, he was a psychopath, but I was able to push lawful evil because he wasn't, he had a code, you know, like he wasn't going to do this to people that he found attractive, you know. Like he just, if you were ugly, you were open season.